English Journey podcast. For those who don't know, I am your host and Canadian teacher, Jasmine. I feel like it's been a really long time since we've had a solo episode without any guests, so I hope that you guys missed my voice and you missed these solo episodes. This week, we have a very exciting episode. I feel like I say that every week, but each episode is unique, and this week we have a request from one of our listeners. Iris sent us a request, so shout out to you, Iris, and anyone else who has a request, feel free to comment or message us on our social media. You can definitely send us a DM on our Instagram at Glish, G-L-I-S-H, social, S-O-C-I-A-L, and let us know about any topics or ideas that you want us to cover on this podcast. So Iris wrote a comment, and the comment was, "Thanks for these great tips. I have an issue, which is that I listen and I read everything in English, but when I speak, the words just don't come out of my mouth. Can you please talk about this?" So when I read this, I felt like this is a very common type of question to receive, and I don't think that Iris is alone in this problem. It's important for everyone listening to understand that this is a very common problem. So when learning a new language, often speaking is the most difficult aspect because, it requires you to take a leap of faith. And what a leap of faith means is you need to take the courage to do something, even if it really scares you. From Iris's question, you can tell that listening and reading is not the issue, but speaking is the issue. This is not a problem of not being able to speak English or not having the vocabulary needed. The real problem here is the confidence. Those who don't feel like they're able to speak English yet are just lacking the confidence. How can we push someone to become less of a shy English speaker and feel confident in English? The truth is, the complete battle is going to be in your mind. Now, we need to find out some strategies and tips of how to break this barrier or how to overcome this challenge of your mind to show you that you are able to speak English and words will come out. You just need to get over the first steps. So I have come up with 5 ways to become more confident in English, which will help you speak out loud in front of other people. If this topic is something that really interests you, please subscribe to this podcast so you can stay up to date as we will continue to have really awesome topics in the future. All right, let's get into number 1. So my number 1 tip is you need to know when it is time to start speaking. So you're probably wondering, what does that even mean? I want to start speaking English now. Well, think about it like this. If your body, your brain, your guts, just your whole being is not allowing yourself to speak English, maybe it's telling you something. Maybe it really does mean you're just not ready to start yet. Now, this is okay. You don't need to fight against it. This is the most important tip because you need to understand your own needs. Let's say you just started learning English about 2 months ago, and you're trying to speak, and well, obviously, nothing really is coming out of your mouth. That's not really surprising. Language learners have to be prepared to spend hours, so many weeks and months and years learning a language before they can even feel a little bit confident. So if you only just started your journey, yes, you might not be ready yet to start speaking. So number 1 is to first figure out, are you ready or not? When is the right time? Let's take a child, for example. You wouldn't expect a child to start learning their first language right away without ever even hearing the language, would you? No. We know that children learn the language through listening. They listen to their parents, to relatives, to just the language being spoken. One idea is if you're not feeling ready yet to speak, continue with what you're doing. So continue listening to this podcast, listening to English music, and other forms of content. You can also be reading too. There's no rush when it comes to learning a language. You guys already know I've been saying this since the very first introduction episode. You learn a language for life, which is why we even named this podcast the English Journey podcast. It's a journey. It doesn't just happen overnight. So don't feel like you have to rush. If you don't feel ready yet to start speaking, start doing all those listening tips. Now, it is possible that you've been practicing a lot and putting in a lot of effort towards learning English and speaking English, which brings me to my next point. If you do feel like, okay, it is my time to start speaking, tip number 2 will be to take baby steps by speaking out loud in private. So a really big possibility is that you're just embarrassed. You're a little bit embarrassed to make mistakes, and you feel a little bit scared because you don't want someone to correct you or notice that you're not a fluent English speaker. Once again, that is normal. Take baby steps. So start off by speaking English out loud. You need to speak out loud. If you're only ever speaking English in your head, you're not really hearing the words and the way they're supposed to be pronounced. So start speaking out loud in your own home, in your apartment, your room, wherever you are. No one has to hear you, but make sure that you are speaking out loud in private. Now let's be real, everything sounds so much better in our heads, right? I'm slowly, I would say very slowly, starting to learn Spanish a little bit, and I sound a lot better in my head, of course. Once I start speaking out loud, I realize, oh wow, I have quite a lot of work to do. That's okay. So don't stay speaking in your head because that's not the real way to speak the language. I am sure a lot of you live in situations where you are not really able to be alone. Maybe you have a lot of siblings or you live in a home with many other people. One of my favorite things, and I promise you that I do this, is try to speak in the shower. I know, I'm serious. It sounds crazy, but turn on your shower, make sure that it's pretty, steamy and loud in there, and just start speaking out loud, whatever you want to say, whether you're practicing a conversation or maybe singing your favorite English songs, whatever it is, just try to actually speak out loud. Most of the time, you're not going to be heard outside of your bathroom, so don't worry. You can also try and speak in your car when you're driving. So if you do have a car and you spend a lot of time, driving to work or wherever you're going, try to speak out loud. I do that too. Especially when I was practicing French, I would just say French sentences out loud in the car and no one could hear me. I'm sure the cars driving by probably thought I was crazy talking to myself, but that's okay. So speak in the shower, speak in your car, just wherever you are, try to speak out loud. Your mouth needs to be moving. You need to be training those muscles to have the proper English pronunciation. And this will only ever happen if you're speaking out loud and forcing the sounds to come out. All right, so number 3. This one is plan out what you're going to say. And I feel like this tip is something people don't always realize is actually important. And people don't realize that everyone does this. So you might wonder and say, why am I not fluent yet? Why does it take me so much time to think of what I'm going to say? Everybody is like this when they're first learning a language. What you need to do is you need to plan out what do you want to say. And of course, let's be real, natural conversations are never going to be planned out. They're normally just happening without you expecting it. But there is possible ways to plan out potential conversations. For example, let's say you're going on a trip soon and you're going to be traveling to an English-speaking country. You will need to have English conversations, let's say at the airport when you land, or maybe when you check in at a hotel, or if you're going to some coffee shops. Make sure to figure out which situations are the most common in your life, which situations will you need to be speaking English at, and start with those situations. So start practicing what you will say in those exact scenarios. So if I knew I was going to travel and had to speak English at the airport, I would practice how to talk about checking in my luggage and how to talk about my passport and where I want to go and boarding times and all of that stuff. Start by learning the vocabulary that you need for those situations. So I would learn all the vocabulary that you need at an airport, learning about the different words like terminal or baggage claim or departure. Just figuring out the common vocabulary words in that situation will help you feel so much more confident. And actually, we do have an entire course all about real-life situations. There's 12 lessons, and they're all from 12 different common situations like the airport or coffee shops, restaurants, going to the doctors, asking for directions on the street, and so much more. The course is $19.99, and it goes over all of the vocabulary that you need in these common situations, plus some conversation tips all about, the cultural elements and differences, and then followed by a sample dialogue, which actually will mimic a real conversation as if you were having that real conversation in that situation. So if you're interested, you can head over to our website to see that course. Our website, as always, is glish, glish.me, M-E. All right, so you're ready to start speaking English, you've practiced speaking out loud, and now you've prepared some conversations in your head or on paper of what you're going to say in a specific situation. Tip number 4 to finally be confident with speaking English is to speak slowly and use filler words. A lot of English language learners make the mistake that they need to be speaking quick in order to sound fluent. While it is true that native English speakers do speak fast, I'm sure sometimes I speak a little bit too fast, but that doesn't mean that you're more confident, and that doesn't make you more of a fluent speaker. Actually, sometimes you already know that when people speak fast, they actually sound more nervous and less confident. Why would we ever want to show other people that we're nervous, even if you actually are? So you have to learn to slow yourself down when you speak. Not only will you sound calmer, but you're actually going to sound more confident. So have you ever heard of the saying, fake it till you make it? For those who haven't heard that before, it basically means fake something. So for example, fake confidence until you actually are confident. You won't have to fake it anymore. I do this all the time. If I'm walking into a meeting or I'm walking into a different space that I've never been in before, and I know there's going to be a lot of people there, I will take a second to calm myself down and kind of put on a fake confident act, and then I will walk into the room and I will feel so much more confident. So just fake it till you make it. So be calm, remind yourself that you've got this, and take your time. So even if you're nervous, pretend you're not nervous. Speak slow. Take your time to think of what you're going to say. You're going to sound so much better in English. And honestly, there's not really a prize for speaking English fast. Like, I prefer to have casual conversations with English language learners who can speak slow and make sense, instead of those who are trying to speak super fast and I don't really understand what they're trying to say because their thoughts and ideas are all over the place. So when I said use filler words, for those who don't know, a filler word is something you kind of add in between two thoughts. Filler words help you take your time to think of the next thing you're going to say, and filler words, they kind of allow you to really pause and just collect your thoughts. Common filler words are the words and so, which I already know I use all the time, so I'm sure a lot of you that are listening have heard me use filler words before. Native English speakers actually use filler words so often out of habit. And I know many languages have their own filler words, so it is normal to use them. And this is something they don't teach you in school, right? Teachers don't want you to use filler words because it doesn't sound correct. But I'm telling you, this will help you sound more confident because it gives you the time to calm yourself down and think of what you're going to say. Filler words drag your thoughts on for longer, and it allows you to prepare for the next sentence. So let's take an example just so you guys can really understand the use of a filler word. Let's say you're going to an ice cream shop and the server asks you, which flavor of ice cream would you like? So by using a filler word, you actually get more time to prepare what you're going to order. For example, you could say something like, I think I'll go with vanilla. Just by saying the word it gave you a few more seconds to really help you get ready for what you were going to say next. If you guys would like a full podcast episode all about filler words, I can definitely do that because there are so many that I just don't have time to talk about today. Filler words are really important in any language, so definitely send me a DM on Instagram if that's something you're interested in. All right, the last and final tip to really allow yourself to speak out loud in English and be confident when speaking English is to find people to speak with. So if you've done all the 4 steps that I just mentioned properly, the chances are you're really ready now to start facing your fears and speaking with other people. Have you ever heard of the saying, life begins at the end of your comfort zone? So that just means start living your life. Don't always stay in your comfort zone where you will never be able to grow. Don't you want to start achieving your goals and really start speaking English and feeling great? By speaking with a friend or other people you know, you're going to have a chance to practice. You might know someone who's also trying to learn English, or you know someone in your city or town that does speak English pretty well. They would make a great language partner. So hang out with them a couple times a week and practice your English together. Once you start talking out loud in English, it's going to help you with your confidence. Of course, not all the time is it possible to meet with people in real life, especially now with COVID and everything going on. So if that's not possible, you can definitely use English learning apps. And you can find someone online to communicate with, and you can message them and call them and even FaceTime them. So if that's something you're interested in, we have an entire blog post all about the top English learning apps you can check out on the Glish.me website. And if you're worried about the fact that you're going to be speaking with a stranger, don't we all start off as strangers anyways? All your friends were at one point a stranger. So don't be closed-minded and don't just dismiss the fact that you could be meeting some really awesome people around the world. So I really think you should give it a chance and just, why not? Just try it. Now, as a bonus, if you really are interested, this is not for everyone, but if you do like formal lessons with a teacher, I'm actually available. I'm doing conversational English lessons. So we end up just talking about random things and just practicing our English conversation skills. And the cool thing is you can pick whatever topics you want. So I will have a big list of topics and then you can pick the one you want to focus on for that lesson. Each of my lessons are 45 minutes long, and we just work towards how to have better conversation skills by practicing. So if you're interested in that, be sure to go to our website, glish.me, and you can click the lessons tab for pricing and make an appointment. And I'm also really friendly, so don't be worried about that. All right, those were my top 5 tips of how to actually speak English with confidence. I really hope these helped because honestly, life is too short to always play on the safe side. Let's take some risks and let's get out there and just reach our goals. I challenge you to try one of these 5 ideas for an entire week and let me know if these have been helping you. I'm sure they're going to make a huge difference. All right, before I sign out for this week's episode, I want to announce that starting next week, we have a very exciting new series on this podcast. The new series is called #MyEnglishJourney, and it's going to be so cool. So I will be interviewing different people from around the world who have a story to share about either their struggles, their challenges, or just something really interesting about how they learned the language. The cool thing is I won't just be talking with teachers. I'll be talking with students and just anyone who has an experience with the English language. I'm super excited for this series, and I know you guys are going to love hearing other people's perspectives and their lives. So if you're interested in actually being a guest on our podcast for this series, you can head over to our website and click the podcast tab and scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a little button that says want to be on our podcast. Just please fill out the form and let us know. And I'm actually going to be picking a lot of people for this interview series called My English Journey. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoy. The first episode will be released next week. If you've been really loving our podcast lately, it would mean the world to us if you could send a review or a rating, just because that really helps us push out more content and know that you guys want us to keep going. So I would really appreciate that. And I hope you all have an amazing week. I'll see you next week. Bye.